This is part 2 of my full review and testing of the new RIA 5.0E from Rock Island Armory. If you haven't seen the first video, I'll put a link up here so you can go catch up, either now or later. Since I covered all the specs and features and basics of the gun last time, I wanted to focus on the following things for this one. Put an optic on it, get several hundred more rounds of mixed ammo through it, note any failures, do some basic comparison to a CZ in the same price bracket. So I mounted the Holosun green dot on the gun using all the accessories that came with the pistol. I will say that RIA has done a really nice job machining a good optics mount. The provided plates fit snug and the optic sits pretty low on the slide. Even several different size screws are provided to help compatibility with different brands. The sights on the pistol are low and they don't co-witness at all. So once you install a red dot, that's it.
Okay, I have the Holosun HE507C with the green reticle installed. And I'm ready to work it out downrange. I think I have a pretty good zero. I put some on paper and I was right in the ballpark, so I think we're good to go. Let's find out. I'm shooting Arms Core 124 grain ball. I just prefer open sights myself. That dot bouncing around just... It is getting it done though. Until I say that. So I really think, as I mentioned earlier in my first review, that this gun is competition would be the focus, I think. And even when those plates don't flip, I can hear them hit. So I think I've got what, one miss out of 20 rounds? That's not too bad, considering it's me. I can't get over, and I can't quit saying how good the quality is in this gun. So I know that $2,000 as a price tag, especially when that's a huge increase over what the first version of this gun was selling for, basically doubled, has raised a lot of eyebrows and dropped a lot of jaws. And a lot of people are just saying, nah, I'm good, thanks. But I'm trying to look at it in a much more objective and abstract sort of way. When you think about the design of this gun and just how unique and groundbreaking, I hate to use buzzwords like that, but how much it is so in those things, the R&D that had to go into this, the development. And I forgot how to hit plates all of a sudden.
I shot a few groups at 25 yards with mixed results. The groups were on average larger than I would have liked, but then I'm not the best rest shooter out there, and I was probably just having an off day, so consider that.
Okay, from 25 yards, two groups. First, SIG M17 ammo. This is 124 grain plus P, jacketed hollow point. All right, that was those 5. Now, go down to the lower target, 5 of Hornady Critical Duty. All right, there's those. Take a look at that target. All right, well, these groups are relatively equal, probably in overall size. I can measure them, but it looks like 3 to 4 inches spread total.
When I got the gun back on the workbench later, I noticed that the screws were not quite tight on the optic, even though I swear I did torque them properly. So whether that floated my aim point around or not, it made any difference, I can't say. But I'm just noting that as a possible variable. As far as failures go, there were none. I shot a lot of different ammo brands and types, including hollow points, with 0 issues. I didn't want to get all scientific about comparing muzzle rise against the CZ. I could have, but I wanted to just keep it focused on my perception. And based on that, it really felt like the two were very equal. The CZ probably stays a little bit flatter because it has more weight out front. But again, they are really close.
Okay, direct comparison. That's a flat shooter. That is the benchmark. RIA 5.0E. Well, I'm a little sloppier on the trigger, but I think they're very well matched. All right, I'm trying out some Federal 115 grain ball now. I'm trying to put lots of different kinds of ammo through the gun. I just want to learn if it has any problems with any, or has any, obvious preferences. So this would make a very unique and very cool looking home defense gun. I don't think a whole lot of people would probably be interested in concealed carrying it because it is a good sized gun and it's also got a little bit of weight to it. Duty gun, probably not, but there's no reason you couldn't. I don't even know if there's any holsters available for it. There will be soon, I have no doubt, but what I still think, as I had said in my initial review, is that the competition realm is where this really could potentially shine. And I think that's probably one of the main markets that they might be going after here. Because after all, who doesn't want a very flat shooting gun with a really nice trigger that is optics ready? I mean, it really shoots flat. So, that white rectangle in the center of my target that's got the blue around it, that's not that big. And my green dot, even during the entire recoil, never left that center rectangle. So, sight recovery, especially with an optic like that, sight recovery for that makeup shot is super fast. I wanted to compare the RIA 5.0E to something. as close as I could find, which is difficult when you've got a gun that's as unique as this. But probably because of the design of the slide and frame, the way we have that inverse fit, immediately your mind goes to CZ. So I thought, okay, CZ TS2, I think, is a nice comparison. I thought about the TSO, but the TSO has some extra bells and whistles. It costs more than this gun. The CZ TS2, as it's configured here, costs a little bit less than this gun. So, you know, it's kind of which side do you want to go? But this one is a little more plain, doesn't have the bells and whistles, but it's not optics ready either. So you can see the advantage already in terms of, you know, being able to outfit the handgun is that this one is optics ready, this one is not. I'll put a few rounds from each on paper just to see, you know, how much difference there is in the group size. Accuracy is still something to wonder about with the 5.0E. I'm probably not the best guy to demonstrate that because I just suck at rested 25-yard groups. But what I do want to really think about, and you know, holding them both right here. Now I've got lock aluminum grips and a lock aluminum magwell on my CZ, which I love. And by the way, you know I have the affiliation with Lock, right? So look down below for the discount code. So that changes the dynamic a little bit. This is not a stock pistol in that respect, but they're comparable weight. I think the CZ is still a little heavier, but not by a whole lot, because the CZ is all steel, whereas you have the aluminum frame on the 5.0E. But they're comparable. They even have a similar grip. So they feel very similar. And of course, they have a lot of similar design elements. What I really want to find out, and what I'm most interested in for me, maybe for you, is how flat they each shoot. CZ TS2, I'm going to see how flat this gun shoots, and then compare it to the RIA 5.0E, see how flat it shoots. Because they are both built to be flat shooters, there's no doubt about it. All right, rapid pace. And right behind it, the 5.0E. By the way, shooting arms core, 124 grain ball. I'd say they're very, very comparable in terms of that flatness. Plain brown wrapper, Russian, steel cased, generic stuff. Let's see how it runs. Well, it doesn't smell so great, but it's running just fine. No feeding problems with it at all. It runs the Russian steel cased. Okay, so I think objective accomplished today. My objective was to put a whole lot more rounds through the RIA 5.0E, and I have put several hundred more rounds through it today. Rock Island Armory doesn't specify any kind of a break-in period for this gun, but you know, like any mechanical device, a little bit of wearing in is good. And I think that that's the case with the RIA 5.0, because after about a total of, say, 600 rounds so far, after the work I've done today, it is feeling super nice. That said, it's shot every single thing I've put through it. It's nice to have an optic on it. It's nice to be able to have an optic on it. I kind of liked it better with the open sights, and I would probably go back to that if this were my gun. Having the optics option is always a good thing. I think my comparison with the CZ TS2 was valid. I think that's a relatively close gun. It's close in price, it's close in purpose, and it's close in the specifications in terms of weight, size, things like that. They're very comparable. The CZ has a better trigger. There's no doubt about that. But this one does not have a bad trigger by any means. Just, when you're comparing something like the CZ TS2 trigger, you're not giving anybody else a running start. But this gun is optics ready, and the CZ is not optics ready. So there's a big difference there. So after about 600 rounds through this gun, I'm liking it. I'm liking it a lot. Liking it more every time I pull the trigger. It's just wearing in really nicely. A lot of potential here for the RIA 5.0E, even when it's being compared to what most consider the best. All right, I promised I would do a trigger pull measurement. So I'm going to do that. I'll take a few probably. Wow, that is light. I hate when that happens. 4 pounds, 13 ounces. 4 pounds, 11 ounces. And 4 pounds, 10 ounces. So I guess if I kept doing it, it would just get lighter and lighter. But seriously, that's pretty much it. 4 pounds, 11 ounces. I did at a previous measurement, I got it at 4.5. Actually, it was 4 pounds, 5 ounces, not 4.5. So it's right in the 4.5 to 4 3/4 range, let's call it. So it's a very nice trigger, very light, very crisp. And again, hammer-fired gun, not striker-fired.
Okay, so this wraps up my testing with the RIA 5.0E. As I mentioned in part 1, this gun isn't mine, it's a loaner, and I want to thank Rock Island Armory and Arms Corps for sending it out. There were several questions about long-term performance that only time and heavy use can tell us, but after about 600 rounds, I'm impressed. We toss the word innovation around too much in the gun industry, but this pistol is true innovation. While it borrows ideas from other successful designs, it brings a lot of outside-the-box concepts to life, and that shows some real guts. I'm rooting for the RIA 5.0E to be a great success. I like the gun, and I'd like to own one. Some people had requested that I show the full disassembly and reassembly of the RIA 5.0E, and I was going to do that as part of this part 2 video, but I've decided to spin that off into a totally separate video. Number one, not everybody might be interested in watching that, and it is a fairly lengthy process. So I'm going to put out a separate video that shows just the disassembly and reassembly process for the RIA 5.0E. So if you're interested, definitely keep an eye out for that.
You know, my people are a very proud people. And I would like to play for you now the song of my people.
Let me know what you think in the comments below. I like to read them and even chime in on the discussions. You can really support the channel and help me keep content flowing by hitting like and being a subscriber. I'm on Patreon if you want to support me that way, and you usually will get early access to videos like this. Look in the description of this video and you'll see several discount codes and affiliate links. you can save significant money on products that I use and recommend. Or if you think this video was especially helpful to you, or you just want to say thanks, there's a button for that right below the video. It's like leaving a tip if you had good service. This is just an opinion. Thanks for watching.